The courtroom was packed. Cameras off, murmurs rising, and Judge Valerie Stone took a seat. Across the aisle, a young woman named Brooke leaned back in her chair, smirking. Judge Valerie, Ms. Adams, do you understand the seriousness of this case? Brooke, oh, absolutely, Your Honor. I just think it's funny. Judge Valerie, funny? Fraud isn't funny, Ms. Adams. Brooke shrugs. Depends on how you see it. The audience gasped quietly. On the other side, Marcus Hale, the plaintiff, clenched his fists. He'd spent months building this case, the one that could finally prove Brooke had lied to the court for years. Marcus, Your Honor, I'm here today because she didn't just lie. She ruined my life. Brooke, mocking tone. Oh, here we go again. The victim act. Judge Valerie, Ms. Adams, watch your tone. The judge's gavel struck once. Silence. But Brooke still wore that same grin, the grin that said she knew something no one else did. Judge Valerie, Mr. Hale, proceed. Marcus, 2 years ago, she filed a restraining order claiming I threatened her. Because of that, I lost my job, my apartment, and my reputation. Brooke, interrupting, you did threaten me. Marcus, no, I didn't. And I can prove it. Judge Valerie adjusted her glasses, intrigued. Marcus reached into his briefcase and slid a small USB drive across the table. Judge Valerie, what's on this? Marcus, a recording, Your Honor. One that Brooke doesn't know exists. For the first time, Brooke's smile faltered. Brooke, wait, what? Judge Valerie, we'll get to that shortly. Continue. Marcus, that recording was taken the night she claimed I showed up at her apartment. According to her police report, I yelled threats through the door. But, listen carefully, Your Honor. You'll hear something else. The courtroom grew tense. The clerk took the USB drive, inserting it into the playback system. A low hum filled the room as the speakers came alive. Recording, Marcus's voice. Brooke, I just came to drop off the papers. I'm leaving them by your door. Recording, Brooke's voice. Marcus, you better hope no one hears this, or you're done. Recording, Marcus, what are you talking about? Recording, Brooke, laughing, oh, you'll see. Gasps erupted through the courtroom. Brooke looked like the air had been punched out of her. Her eyes darted to her lawyer, who suddenly avoided eye contact. Judge Valerie, Ms. Adams, is that your voice? Brooke, I don't remember. Judge Valerie, you don't remember laughing while threatening to frame someone? The judge leaned forward, her tone sharp, the temperature in the courtroom dropping with every word. Judge Valerie, you said under oath that you feared for your life. Yet in this recording, you sound rather confident. Almost rehearsed. Brooke, I was scared. I was joking. Marcus, joking? You had me arrested. Judge Valerie raised her hand, cutting him off. Judge Valerie, enough. This court will determine who's telling the truth. And Ms. Adams, I strongly suggest you stop laughing, because what I'm about to play next might change everything. The judge gestured to the clerk to load another file, one she had kept sealed until this very moment. Brooke, wait, what do you mean another file? Judge Valerie, you'll find out soon. Sit tight. Brooke's smirk disappeared completely. For the first time, she looked nervous. The faint whir of the courtroom speakers filled the air. Brooke sat motionless, her nails digging into the table. Judge Valerie gave a slow nod to the clerk. Judge Valerie, play the second file. A click. Static. Then a voice, not Marcus's this time, but Brooke's again, clear and mocking. Recording, Brooke, it's easy, really. You just act scared. Cry a little. The court believes you, and boom, restraining order granted. Recording, unknown female voice. Brooke, that's crazy. What if he records you? Recording, Brooke, he won't. He's too nice. That's why this works. The courtroom gasped. The words echoed off the wooden walls like gunshots. Marcus's jaw tightened as the judge slowly leaned back, expression unreadable. Judge Valerie, Ms. Adams, I assume that is your voice? Brooke, stammering, I don't remember saying that. Judge Valerie, the timestamp says 2 days before your police report. Brooke, it was a joke. Someone edited that. Judge Valerie, a joke that led to a man losing his job, reputation, and freedom? Ms. Adams, do you expect this court to find humor in perjury? Brooke's lawyer finally stood, trying to cut the tension. Defense attorney, Your Honor, my client was under emotional distress. These recordings may be out of context. Judge Valerie, sit down, counselor. Context doesn't change intent. Brooke's breathing grew heavy. Her laughter from earlier was gone. In its place, panic. Marcus, quietly, that's all I needed, Your Honor. 18 months of waiting. For that one moment. Judge Valerie, Mr. Hale, I understand your frustration. But let the court finish its process. Marcus, yes, I just want my life back. Judge Valerie turned her eyes to Brooke, sharp, unforgiving. Judge Valerie, Ms. Adams, you lied under oath. You falsified a report. And from what I hear, you manipulated the system for your own benefit. That is not a joke. That is contempt. Brooke's lawyer whispered, don't say a word, but she couldn't stay silent anymore. Brooke, tears forming, I didn't mean for it to go this far. He was supposed to learn his lesson. Judge Valerie, his lesson? What lesson? That kindness is weakness? That trust can be weaponized? The audience murmured in shock. One juror shook his head, muttering under his breath. Judge Valerie, you humiliated a man in front of an entire city. You filed false testimony. And you think this is a lesson? Brooke, sobbing, I was angry, okay. He broke up with me and... Judge Valerie, so you broke the law. The judge's tone sliced through the air like a blade. Brooke's sobs echoed softly. Marcus just sat there, frozen, years of rage and heartbreak pressed behind his eyes. Judge Valerie, I'm calling for a recess. When we return, the court will review further evidence. And Ms. Adams, I suggest you prepare yourself. The gavel struck once, loud and final. Brooke's tears didn't move Marcus. She looked up, searching for sympathy, but the courtroom was ice. Even her own attorney refused to meet her eyes. The courtroom lights flickered back on. The recess was over. The clock above the bench ticked like a metronome of judgment. Judge Valerie re-entered, her black robe flowing behind her like a shadow. Judge Valerie, firmly, court is back in session. Before we proceed, there's something unusual. During the recess, I was handed an envelope, unsigned, unmarked, but sealed with an official court stamp. She held up a thin, beige envelope, the seal faintly glinting under the light. Judge Valerie, inside, there's a flash drive labeled Confession File 07B. Brooke's eyes widened. Marcus frowned. The room fell silent. Judge Valerie, the sender remains anonymous. But given the context of this case, I find it necessary to review its contents in the presence of both parties. She gestured to the clerk. Judge Valerie, load the file. A projector blinked to life. The courtroom filled with the glow of a video paused on the first frame. A woman sitting at a kitchen table, face half hidden in shadow. The timecode read 2:13 a.m. Marcus, whispering that's Brooke's apartment. Judge Valerie pressed play. Video recording. Brooke, I messed up. I messed up bad. He didn't deserve any of this. Brooke's real-life self froze in her seat. Her face drained of color. The courtroom gasped quietly. Video recording. Brooke, I thought, if I lied, if I made him look bad, I'd get sympathy, maybe the house, maybe custody. But I didn't think the guilt would follow me everywhere. I see him on TV sometimes, people whispering that he's dangerous. He's not. He's the kindest man I ever met. The recording showed Brooke covering her face, trembling. Video recording. Brooke, if anyone ever sees this. I'm sorry, Marcus. The video ended. The silence that followed was thunderous. Brooke, in the present, was trembling now, her lips barely moving. Brooke, hoarse whisper. Who found that? Judge Valerie, that's what I intend to find out. But before that, I must ask, was that you, Ms. Adams? Brooke, crying, yes. I recorded it months ago. I never sent it. Judge Valerie, then how did it end up here? Brooke's lawyer stood, pale-faced. Defense attorney, Your Honor, this video, it's privileged, private property. It cannot be used in. Judge Valerie, privilege doesn't cover confession of fraud. Sit down. Marcus sat perfectly still. His hands were shaking slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of truth finally breaking through. Judge Valerie, Mr. Hale, do you have any knowledge of how this file surfaced? Marcus, quietly, No, Your Honor. I haven't spoken to her in over a year. Judge Valerie leaned forward, her eyes scanning both of them like a lie detector. Judge Valerie, then someone else wanted this to come to light. Someone close enough to Brooke to access that recording. Brooke, softly, oh my God. Judge Valerie, Ms. Adams, is there anyone you confided in? Brooke, hesitant, my sister. But she moved away. She hated what I did. Judge Valerie, did she have this recording? Brooke, I don't know. I might have shown her once. I was drunk. The judge's pen tapped rhythmically against the bench. Once, twice, 3 times. The courtroom could feel the storm building. Judge Valerie, so this court now has evidence of falsified testimony and a personal confession. That changes everything. Defense attorney, Your Honor. Judge Valerie, don't interrupt me. The lawyer sat back down, visibly sweating. Judge Valerie, here's what's going to happen. We'll reopen the original case of Adams versus Hale for review. Ms. Adams, you will be held in custody pending further investigation of perjury, fraud, and evidence tampering. Brooke, breaking down. Please. I didn't mean to ruin him. I just wanted attention. Judge Valerie, attention doesn't excuse a lie that destroys a life. 2 bailiffs stepped forward. The sound of Brooke's sobs echoed as they placed gentle but firm hands on her shoulders. She looked at Marcus one last time. Brooke, whispering, I'm sorry. For everything. Marcus didn't speak. He didn't need to. His silence carried years of pain, vindicated in a single moment. Judge Valerie turned her attention to him. Judge Valerie, Mr. Hale, this court recognizes the extraordinary injustice you've endured. On behalf of this bench, and this institution, I apologize. Marcus, softly, thank you, Your Honor. I just want peace. Judge Valerie, you've earned it. The gavel struck again, final, resonant. Brooke was escorted out. The audience stood in stunned silence. Marcus remained seated, tears quietly tracing the lines of a man finally freed. But just as he was about to stand, a phone on the evidence table began to ring. Everyone turned. Judge Valerie raised a brow. Judge Valerie, whose phone is that? The bailiff answered it, looked startled, then passed it to the judge. She put it on speaker. Voice on phone, female, shaky, this is Detective Ross. Don't close the case yet. Brooke wasn't the only one lying. The phone call lingered in the air like smoke. The judge's hand hovered above the speaker, her eyes narrowing. Judge Valerie, Detective Ross, you're on speaker. What do you mean by Brooke wasn't the only one lying? Detective Ross, over phone, Your Honor. I've been re-examining the original Adams versus Hale custody file. The evidence logs don't match. There are missing entries, and one of the DNA reports was swapped before submission. The courtroom stirred. Marcus looked confused, then alarmed. Marcus, swapped? By who? Detective Ross, that's what I'm trying to confirm. But the file changes trace back to an internal login from the court's own system. Judge Valerie's expression darkened. She motioned to the bailiff. Judge Valerie, lock the courtroom doors. No one leaves until I say so. The bailiff obeyed. A heavy click echoed as the bolt slid shut. The room fell under a tense, suffocating silence. Judge Valerie, detective, who had access to that system. Detective Ross, only 3 people. Myself, the case clerk assigned to that trial, and the presiding judge at the time. Everyone froze. Marcus's jaw clenched. Brooke, handcuffed near the front, began to shake again. Marcus, the presiding judge? That was Judge Valerie, Judge Nathan Corin. Retired last year. Detective Ross. Exactly. And the system shows that his credentials were used to edit the DNA results. But here's the twist. The login came from a court terminal after he'd already left the building that night. Judge Valerie, meaning someone else used his access. Detective Ross. Yes. And whoever did, knew how to make it look clean. No external breach, no sign in alerts. This was an inside job, Your Honor. Someone inside this court. Gasps rippled through the audience. Judge Valerie's gaze swept across the courtroom, the clerks, the guards, even the attorneys. Judge Valerie, Detective Ross, do you have any leads? Detective Ross, just one. The system flagged a secondary access point, a clerk's badge used moments before the edit. The name was Tara Miller. All eyes turned toward the young clerk standing by the evidence table. She froze, pale as paper. Tara, stammering that can't be right. I've never. Judge Valerie. Ms. Miller, step forward. Tara's trembling steps echoed like footsteps in an empty hall. Her hands clutched her notepad tightly. Judge Valerie, you're being accused of tampering with federal evidence. You understand how serious this is? Tara, crying, I didn't do it. I swear. I was told it was just a correction, by Judge Corin himself. He said he lost the original data and needed me to fix the timestamps. Marcus, furious. So you changed the report that said I wasn't the father? Tara, sobbing, I didn't know what I was doing. He told me the system glitched. He said if I didn't help, I'd lose my job. Judge Valerie, did he give you anything? Any note, message, or email? Tara, this. I kept it. In case something ever happened. The bailiff took it and handed it to the judge. She plugged it into the courtroom monitor. The screen blinked, showing a folder titled Confidential, Corin Correspondence. Inside were dozens of messages between Judge Corin and an unknown sender labeled M. Judge Valerie, M? Who is M? Detective Ross, we are still trying to trace it. But one message stands out, dated 2 days before the ruling. Judge Valerie opened it. Her lips moved as she read aloud. Ensure the report lists Marcus Hale as the father. Once it's done, transfer the bonus to my Kaiman account. Use the same route as last time. Keep the clerk quiet. The courtroom erupted in chaos. Marcus, shouting, a bonus? He took money to ruin my life. Judge Valerie, order, order. Her gavel slammed down again and again until the noise subsided. The fury in her voice shook the air. Judge Valerie, this court is suspending all ongoing proceedings. A special inquiry will be opened immediately against Judge Corin and any co-conspirators. Ms. Miller, you will be placed under protective custody. Detective Ross, secure her evidence and coordinate with federal investigators. Detective Ross, understood, Your Honor. As the chaos settled, Marcus sat motionless. For 18 years, he had carried guilt for a child that wasn't his. Now, he was learning it wasn't just a lie, it was a crime. A system built to protect him had betrayed him. Marcus, quietly, how deep does this go, Your Honor? Judge Valerie, coldly, deeper than we think. The camera of the court security system blinked red, recording everything. But somewhere deep in the courthouse network, a second feed, unseen by the public, showed another figure watching the trial remotely, his face hidden in shadow. Mysterious figure, whispering they found the messages too soon. Time to clean house. The feed cut to black. The night after the courtroom eruption was unnervingly quiet. The courthouse, usually buzzing with motion and chatter, now stood like a monument of secrets, sealed, silent, and waiting to breathe again. Judge Valerie sat alone in her chambers. The lamp's glow traced the wrinkles of worry on her face as she replayed the day's events over and over. A corrupt judge, a falsified DNA test, and a mysterious M pulling strings from the dark. She picked up the phone. Judge Valerie, Ross. I need a full trace on that email address. Anything, location, server, sender ID. Detective Ross, over phone already on it, Judge. But whoever M is, they're good. The trail bounces through encrypted Reuters in 3 different countries, including one government network. Judge Valerie, meaning they're not some amateur hacker. Detective Ross, exactly. We're looking at someone with access to judicial systems, maybe higher. I'll dig deeper, but... A soft knock interrupted her. She hung up, motioning toward the door. Judge Valerie, come in. Marcus entered, his face pale from exhaustion but burning with resolve. Marcus, you wanted to see me? Judge Valerie, yes. Sit down, Marcus. You deserve answers, but you may not like them. Marcus, after 18 years of lies, I'll take the truth. Whatever it is. She sighed and handed him a printed document, one of the recovered messages from the flash drive. Judge Valerie, this one's dated 2 weeks before your original paternity ruling. The sender, M, instructs Judge Corin to alter 3 family court verdicts. Yours was just one of them. Marcus, reading aloud, ensure compliance. These rulings must favor clients under our care. Under our care? What does that even mean? Judge Valerie, That's what I've been asking myself. Look at the signature block. Marcus's eyes fell to the end of the message, where, beneath the code, a faint watermark shimmered. Family Integrity Initiative. Marcus, that's not a government office, is it? Judge Valerie, no. It's a private legal foundation, one that's been donating millions to judicial campaigns across the country. Marcus, so they bought judges. Judge Valerie, grimly, looks that way. The next morning, a storm gathered outside the courthouse. Reporters flooded the steps. Every channel screamed headlines about the DNA scandal, while the public demanded names, arrests, justice. Inside, the tension was electric. The bailiff announced a visitor, Detective Ross, holding a manila folder. Detective Ross, Judge, we traced the signal from M. You might want to sit for this. He placed a photo on her desk, a surveillance still showing a man in his 60s, walking into a courthouse back door, late at night. Judge Valerie, who is he? Detective Ross, Martin Lowell, former Chief Financial Officer of the Family Integrity Initiative. He vanished 3 years ago after an internal fraud probe, before it could go public. Marcus, you're telling me that guy faked evidence in my case? Detective Ross, he didn't just fake it. He coordinated multiple DNA falsifications in exchange for payoffs. Your case. It was the first. Judge Valerie, what about the child, Chloe? Detective Ross, she's safe. But she's been living a lie too. Her biological father's name shows up in another sealed case, also manipulated by the same group. Marcus sat frozen. His entire life, every sacrifice, every sleepless night, was built on someone else's profit. That night, Judge Valerie returned home to find a black envelope slipped under her door. No return address. No name. Just one line in block letters. Stop digging or you'll end up like Corin. Her heartbeat quickened. Corin, the retired judge who was about to be subpoenaed, had been found dead that morning. Official cause, heart attack. She sat at her desk, staring at the note, until her phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. You're not the first to uncover us, but you could be the last who lives long enough to tell it. She exhaled slowly, gripping her gavel like a weapon. The gavel, a symbol of justice, felt heavier than it ever had before. Next morning, emergency session. Judge Valerie called for a private meeting. Only Marcus and Detective Ross were present. Judge Valerie, they're watching us. Corin's death wasn't natural. Detective Ross, agreed. Toxicology found traces of potassium chloride, lethal dose. Whoever sent that letter, they're connected to M. Marcus, then what do we do? Go public. Judge Valerie, no. If we do that, they'll bury us, and the evidence. We need a confession, from someone inside the initiative. She opened a file, revealing Tara Miller's photo. Judge Valerie, she's still in protective custody. But she mentioned another contact, someone named Elliot. I think he's our key. Detective Ross, I'll find him. Marcus leaned forward, eyes sharp. Marcus, Judge, if this thing runs as deep as you say, then justice in that courtroom means nothing until the people behind it are exposed. I'll help. Whatever it takes. Judge Valerie, you sure about that, Marcus? This isn't a trial anymore. It's a war. Marcus, then it's one I've been training for my whole life. As the three of them stood together, the light flickered, just once, and a faint static hum filled the room. The judge's computer screen glowed blue, then black. Across the screen appeared a single line of text. Too late, Valerie. The truth dies tonight. And then, darkness. Rain hammered against the courthouse windows as night swallowed the city. Inside, dim emergency lights cast long shadows across the marble floor, the kind that make even silence feel dangerous. Judge Valerie stood near her desk, her phone still glowing from the threatening message. The words, "The truth dies tonight," repeated in her mind like an echo she couldn't silence. She wasn't the kind of woman who frightened easily, but this was different. This was personal. Marcus paced the room. Every instinct told him to run, to hide, but his anger burned brighter than his fear. Marcus, they know we are close. They wouldn't threaten us if we weren't. Judge Valerie, which means we are out of time. If we can't stop them tonight, this all vanishes by morning. Detective Ross, checking his phone, I've traced the last signal. It came from a warehouse on the east side, an abandoned records facility owned by a shell company. You'll never guess the parent corporation. Judge Valerie. Family Integrity Initiative. Detective Ross. Bingo. They exchanged glances. The pieces were falling into place, but now the question was, who would survive long enough to put them together? The warehouse. Midnight. Rain turned the streets into rivers of reflection. Marcus, Valerie, and Ross pulled up to a darkened building on the city's edge. The sign above the rusted doors read Crestwood Legal Archives. Ross, drawing his gun. You sure about this, Judge? Judge Valerie. I didn't come this far to let them bury the truth again. They entered through the side door. Dust, silence, and the faint hum of electricity. Rows of file cabinets lined the walls, but one thing stood out, a bright monitor glowing in the darkness. Marcus moved closer. The screen displayed dozens of case numbers, all tagged altered. Marcus, my God, there's hundreds of them. They've been faking judgments for years. Ross, snapping photos, we've got enough to blow this wide open. Judge Valerie, no, not yet. We need one thing more. The face behind M. As if on cue, a soft voice echoed from behind the filing cabinets. Voice, you've already met him. They spun around, and there he was. Martin Lowell, the missing CFO, his grey hair slick with rain, his smile thin as a blade. Lowell, Judge Valerie. Marcus, I've been expecting you. Marcus, furious, you ruined my life. You stole my family. Lowell, correction. I saved the system. You were a small casualty in a very large plan. Judge Valerie, that plan destroyed lives. It corrupted justice. Lowell, justice? Laugh softly. Justice is an illusion. A story for the public. Real justice is control, and I controlled everything. Ross, not anymore. Lowell's expression didn't falter. He gestured toward the monitor. Lowell, you can't erase what you don't understand. Those files are encrypted in layers of legal immunity. Take me down, and you'll take down the entire system with me. Marcus, then maybe it's time the system burned. A gunshot cracked through the air. Ross stumbled back. A figure in black had appeared from the shadows behind them, silenced pistol in hand. Ross fell, clutching his shoulder. Judge Valerie, Ross. Marcus dove behind a cabinet, dragging Ross to cover as bullets tore through metal drawers. Lowell, calmly, I warned you. You're children playing with fire. Judge Valerie, you call this justice? Killing witnesses? Lowell, no, Judge. I call this survival. She reached into her pocket and pressed a small device, a hidden transmitter. A red light blinked once. Marcus, what was that? Judge Valerie, back up. They'll trace this signal. But we have to hold them long enough. The firefight raged. Marcus grabbed a fallen pistol and returned fire, forcing the shooter to retreat. Lowell ducked behind a desk, but Marcus was faster. He lunged forward, slamming him against the wall. Marcus, 18 years. 18 years of lies. You owe me the truth. Lowell, choking, you were never supposed to know. None of you were. Marcus, then tell me, why me? Lowell, because your case, your DNA test, was the prototype. We needed to prove the manipulation worked. Marcus, so you used my daughter as an experiment? Lowell, whispers, no, Marcus. We used you. Marcus's grip tightened. For a moment, rage threatened to consume him, but then Valerie's voice cut through the storm. Judge Valerie, Marcus, don't. If you kill him, the truth dies with him. He froze. Slowly, he lowered the gun. Sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights flashed through the rain-soaked windows. Lowell, grinning, you think this changes anything? I built the system to protect itself. You can't destroy it. Judge Valerie, maybe not. But we can expose it. 3 weeks later. The story broke across every network. National judicial scandal. Dozens of cases falsified. Martin Lowell was indicted on 37 counts of fraud and conspiracy. Detective Ross recovered. Marcus testified. And Judge Valerie, she became the voice that restored faith in the system she once doubted. In the final hearing, Marcus stood before the bench. His voice was calm, but heavy with everything he'd endured. Marcus, I spent 18 years paying for something I didn't do. But I learned something. Justice isn't about winning or losing. It's about fighting, even when you have nothing left. Judge Valerie smiled faintly from the bench. Judge Valerie, then you understand what most never do. Justice isn't a verdict, Marcus. It's a promise. The gavel struck. Judge Valerie, case closed. That night, Marcus visited his daughter, Chloe. She opened the door cautiously, unsure, but then saw his eyes. There was no anger there anymore, only peace. Chloe, Dad. I saw the news. You did it. Marcus, we did it. They embraced, a quiet, overdue moment that spoke louder than any verdict. Outside, the rain had stopped. For the first time in years, the world felt clean again. And somewhere, in the distance, Judge Valerie looked out her office window, whispering to herself, "Justice doesn't die, not as long as someone's willing to fight for it." Fade to black.